Hello and welcome. I am Cyril Stober. The World Health Organization, WHO, recognizes that traditional medicine is widely used across the world. Traditional medicine does have a potential for universal health coverage. Here in Nigeria, it is incontestable that a large proportion of the populace embraces the use of traditional medicines in one form or the other. And this has nothing to do with the level of education or societal status. Matter of fact, there is an increase in resort to traditional methods of curative medicine by many citizens, especially where access to effective modern health care is difficult. The WHO, in acknowledging traditional medicines, however, seeks to apply scientific rigor to it. WHO therefore established a strategic and technical advisory group on traditional, complementary and integrative medicine, STAG-TM, towards implementing its Global Traditional Medicine Strategy 2025 to 2034. Two co-chairs have been appointed for the group, one of them a Nigerian. Martins Emeje, a professor of drug delivery and nanomedicine, is currently the Director General Chief Executive of the Nigeria Natural Medicine Development Agency. He holds a PhD from the University of Nigeria, where he received the Best PhD Award. Professor Emeje is a recipient of many fellowships, awards, and grants all over the world, and has taught and continues to teach in numerous universities across the globe. He has supervised many master's and PhD students' projects. A distinguished pharmacist and researcher, Professor Emeje is listed among the 2,000 outstanding scientists of the 21st century. He joins me to talk about his WHO appointment and the place of traditional and integrative medicine. Professor Emeje, thanks for joining us on One-on-One.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be here always.
All right, thank you. Let's start off by looking at this appointment as co-chair of the STAG-TM, and that has elicited congratulations across the board from all Nigerians, and we say that to you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
How significant is this appointment?
It's huge, and I like to see it from different layers. It's huge to me as a person. It's monumental for Nigeria as a country, is memorable for Africa as a continent, and it speaks volume for traditional medicine globally.
All right.
So in all, it is a huge appointment, whichever angle you look at it.
All right.
Yes.
So you are part of this STAG-TM group.
Yes.
The WHO recognizes that traditional medicine has a place. However, there is need to subject it to scientific rigor. And you will be leading in this direction.
Yes. Okay, so the group has two chairs. So that's why we are called co-chairs. An American, Professor Susan Welland, and my humble self, the African. Yes, scientific rigor. And application of scientific rigor to traditional medicine is not peculiar to traditional medicine.
Okay.
Allopathic medicine also requires application of traditional, of scientific rigor. I'm a pharmacist.
All right.
And I'm a Western trained pharmacist. So I'm not traditional medicine pharmacist, ab initio. So I can tell you that as we talk today, in our drug development spectrum, we will always need to apply scientific rigor to drug discovery, development, and even commercialization.
Okay, so it's
so
not
there
just
is nothing
traditional
special.
about-
There's nothing special about people trying to say that, look, there is a need to apply scientific rigor to traditional medicine before we know what to do with it. There is also need to apply scientific rigor to allopathic medicine before we know what to do with it.
Okay. So that in itself draws a clear, paints a clear picture
Yes.
of what is to be done here.
Yes.
But again, we find that there are statistics that say that as high as 88% of the countries of the world use traditional medicine.
Yes. So, Cyril, let me say this quickly. And I'm very happy because the World Health Organization has conducted 3 global studies, global surveys. And the latest survey, if you see the report, you will, for some of us, we are not surprised. But for so many persons who I have categorized into 3, and we'll probably be discussing it as we move on, they will be dazed to see that the 80% that we have been talking about for years now, it's more than 80% now. Because there are reports that some countries use up to 90%. And in fact, in Nigeria, when this administration, when we started, I became DJ about 2 years ago. When we started, within 3 months, we said, look, the statistics that 80% of our people use traditional medicine, it's been decades now. What is the current status? And we did not go to our villages because there, the truth is, you don't need to do any study to know. If you are a normal human being, you do not need to do any study to know that that's what people use. So we decided as an agency, the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency, where I am privileged to be superintending, we carried out a study at the Federal Secretariat in Abuja. And Federal Secretariat is civil servants. We went from office to office. We carried out a study. We spent 3 months carrying out that study. When we finished, and we have the data, raw data, processed data, all of it, 97% of civil servants working in Federal Secretariat in Abuja said they use traditional medicine. 97%. Federal Secretariat Abuja. So you can, and these are people, that we, so if 97% of our elites, those who, the engine of government, if they use traditional medicine, are we deceiving ourselves? Or are we not deceiving ourselves, saying that this is not an area to focus on? And so when we went for the global summit, and we discovered that there are countries across the globe that such statistics exist in the 21st century, we knew that, you see, so that's why we are not surprised that WHO has, increased the gear in looking at traditional medicine, because we all know now that if we really want to achieve universal health coverage, if we want access to medicines, then traditional medicine is key, especially to low-income and middle-income countries.
There's something always about traditional medicine, and you are also a Western-trained pharmacist.
Yes.
And this, we should ask you to explain to us, why is it after all these years, and its acceptance generally, traditional medicine would seem still shrouded in a lot of secrecy?
Okay, so I like this question very well because I know the answer very well. I am the living answer to this kind of question. Why? Because I'm a Western trained pharmacist. I teach pharmacy, Western pharmacy. I call it colonial pharmacy. I have PhD in it. I'm a professor in it. I teach in the university in it. I do research in it. Then I went to School of Traditional Medicine in Asia. So that is in terms of formal education. But there's also the critical point about me that many people don't have around the globe. That is that this me that you are seeing, a pharmacist, a professor of pharmacy, chair of WHO group of traditional medicine today, was born in the village, in the traditional home. I was not born in the hospital. I was born by traditional medical practitioners that delivered my mother. And I grew up in the village, Agaliga, in Kogi State. And up till now, we don't have a hospital where there are doctors, pharmacists, and nurses in that village. So if anybody thinks that you are talking, oh, he's 50 years old man, so he's old. As I'm talking today, children are still being born in my village the way I was born. And they come out of that village and go to secondary schools, they go to universities, they go everywhere in the world, and they beat people in class, people who went to those schools that you attend to from the moon. Now, I have said this so that I put it in proper perspective that there is nothing that is happening in traditional medicine that is not happening in allopathic medicine. Talk of secrecy. What is secret? What is patent? What do we mean by patent in allopathic medicine? When we say you have discovered something as a scientist, and I have many patents, and you have to protect it, what is that protection? And that protection, there are so many ways to protect, one of which is patent. Let me tell you, there's also a form of protection that is called trade secret. You do not go to anywhere to go and register anything. It's a trade secret. I'm sure you know of the popular, everybody knows about Coca-Cola. And they will be telling you, the Coca-Cola is protected by trade secret, that only some few people know about it and all of that. Is that not secrecy? So if that secrecy is acceptable there, why don't you want to accept the secrecy of our traditional medical practitioners? Okay. And we should be discussing why is it that the only way our traditional medical practitioners are protecting their own discovery, their own formula, their own inventions, their own know-how is by trade secret. Why? Because we are a conquered people when it comes to education. Our educational curriculum, a colonial curriculum. And if you trace it back, it's because the education that we have is the education that we imported. We were colonized. So we were trained. I'm trained as a pharmacist, not for my people in Nigeria. That's why doctors in Nigeria are not trained for Nigeria. That's why we are hotcakes in other parts of the world. If we were trained for our own diseases, to use our own local materials, we will not be doing japa. Yes, because if we were going to do japa, we will first of all work on our own resources in a way that it will be ready for global acceptability. Then we can japa with our own services and our products. And that's why you are seeing that India is exporting its own traditional medicine now. And you see how they started? We have International Yoga Day now. Ayurveda is becoming international. You can see. So they did not start from their doctors. They started from their traditional services, traditional practices, traditional know-how. Then as it began to get global recognition, the people who have the skill, the know-how to do this, you now necessarily have to look for them. That's why if you go to Europe now, Ayurvedic doctors are everywhere. If you come to Nigeria, we even have. All right. So traditional medicine in our own part of the world, in Nigeria, because we all left it, and we started feeling that it is by doing Western medicine that I am a civilized person. We like to say we are civilized. And what is the civilization? We use foreign things to validate ourselves, to say that Go and see big people now. If you come to a place now where there is palm wine and there is beer, people or this wine that one cost almost 1 million naira. The person who is drinking that 1 million naira wine, if people are there, will be respecting him very well. Whereas they will not respect the palm wine that my people have tapped from the palm tree in our villages. Why? Because of this colonial mentality that if it is foreign, then I am a happening guy.
Okay, Prof, let me just use a very simple example, which you might be able to explain to me as also a pharmacist too yourself. Let's take the paracetamol.
Yes. Yes.
Anyone?
You want to talk about those now?
Yes. Well, you look at it, it's easy. You can see the composition of what it's made of.
Okay.
But of course, you do have traditional recipes people take for whatever paracetamol addresses. But then you never know what it's composed of.
Okay.
And if you ask, no one will tell you. That's on one side. Then secondly, that's another thing that interests me. A lot of people some people have been able to explain it. There are sometimes those who practice the traditional medicines, especially the herbal ones, will say to you, there are specific times where they go out and pick a plant that will be used in whatever therapy they are.
Yes.
And so you wonder,
Okay.
why is that so? The plant is there. Why would they say you go and pick it only in the morning, or it will not be efficacious in the afternoon or something like that?
Okay. There's nothing mysterious about it.
Right.
It's scientific.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Right.
So let's take the first one. Take paracetamol. You said you know the composition. You don't know the composition. You know what we have written. It is the composition. Because paracetamol is a drug. And that drug, you see the tablets and syrups and all those things, it's not drug. Those ones are medicines or drug products. The drug itself is the biomolecule, is what elicits the desired effect that we want. That's the drug. Okay, so if you take paracetamol that I have mentioned, the process of getting paracetamol, there are two processes of getting it. We can get it chemically by synthesizing it in our laboratory from petroleum products. And as pharmacists, we don't say many things so that you don't put fear into people. But if I tell you where we synthesize it from, you may not be comfortable taking it again. So, but we synthesize it in the laboratory. That's one track. In other words, we use chemicals to make paracetamol. And that's what we learn. Okay, that's one of the things we learn. The second track is that we get paracetamol from plants. Yes. We can also make paracetamol from a plant called pine weed. We get paracetamol from it. So I can get paracetamol for you from petroleum products or from plants. By the way, you see most of the drugs you are seeing, most of the products you are seeing in our pharmacies, in the hospitals, 40 to 60% of them, their origin is plants. Now, what's the difference between paracetamol that we make in the lab and paracetamol in that leaf? This is the difference. I will use chemicals to bring out the paracetamol from the petroleum product and make it in the lab. If I want the same paracetamol from plant, I will use chemical to injure the plant and follow my chemical procedures to eventually take a compound called paracetamol. It's a whole lot of processes.
Right.
But that same plant that I got that paracetamol from, I could just chew that plant. Do you believe that if I just chew the plant, I have also taken paracetamol? You don't need to go to school to know that if I got this thing from this plant, it means if I just chew that plant, I have also taken the paracetamol. Because in getting the paracetamol from the plant, there are so many other compounds. We call them phytoconstituents. There are so many other naturally occurring compounds in that plant which no scientist in the world knows the number. Forget all these we are raising shoulders, which I call unnecessary ego. Because the truth is those who know a lot, they are very humble because they know that they don't know. The more you study, the less you know. That's the irony of study. So, if you take a particular plant, even as scientists in the lab, when we tell you that this particular plant has 10 compounds, it is because by the capacity of the machines that we have in our laboratory is 10 that we can see. Okay. Which means if there is an advancement tomorrow and that machine can now look be more than 10 things, we might see more than 10. So for every plant that you see, there are thousands, possibly millions that we don't know, because the biggest, the most efficient, the most complex, and the most yet to be understood laboratory in the world is nature's laboratory. And that is what is traditional medicine.
And so this is what the WHO is interested in.
Yes.
And wants this group to work on and bring out.
Yes. So our traditional medical practitioners, what they have in their kitty, in their favor, is the millions of years of use of these resources. They have millions of years of use. And we have, in some other parts of the world, thousands of years of documented use. Okay. China, for example, has at least 5,000 years of documented use. I also did some studies in China. And if you go to their institutions, you will see documents that is over 5,000 years old. I also did studies in India. If you go to some of their institutions, they have documentation that is over 2,000 years. That's where we are.
What is the status of our own documentation in Nigeria?
The real documentation of our traditional medicine practices started 2 years ago.
Oh dear.
2 years ago with this administration. And if you look at the 4 thematic areas that the World Health Organization wants to deal with now, many people have been telling me, this is your documentation that you have been talking about. Why is it in the 4 things that WHO wants to do? And I say, why am I there? And I said, why am I there? Because the reason why our own people, so many things to talk, I just hope I can say all of these things. See, the major reason why our own people, 1, are not recognized, 2, don't make benefit from their traditional medicine, one of the reasons is lack of proper documentation. 2, because of the means of communication. Because, you know, the other time, I think about a year ago, there was a breaking news, that the president of Nigeria has directed that there should be University of Languages. See, when I saw that news, I felt that, oh God, you have blessed my country in my time. Within 24 hours, I became the saddest person again in Nigeria. Because powerful people, highly educated people, see how they started bad-mouthing the president, started blasting the president. That, why is he doing University of Languages and all of that? You see what colonialism has done to us? And unfortunately, I have the feeling that the president has now abandoned it because people started rising against it. But the president should know that our colonial background will always affect anything that anybody who has indigenous intention in this country. So, because of that means of communication, because the language of communication is English, because those of us who are English speakers, we see everybody who is not speaking English as illiterate, we automatically remove them from the track of developing our traditional medicine. Because most of our people in traditional medicine, they are not people who speak English. They speak Igala, they speak Hausa, they speak Igbo, they speak Tiv, they speak Yoruba, they speak our own indigenous languages. If you are a man of culture like me, you check very well. Anytime there's a traditional thing, for those of us who married traditionally, when they are using kola, our people say kola does not understand the language of another community. They will use the language of that community to speak to the kola nut. Why? Because that is how our people are. And if you go to other countries, that's how they are. Look, some of these presidents or prime ministers of other countries who even went to schools in those countries, they deliberately, when they are at international events, and the Prime Minister of India just did it a few weeks ago when we went to India, they will not speak English. If you don't understand, you are on your own. No? If the translator, if it's enough, you get. If it's not enough, you don't get, you sit. Then you look for somebody to help you translate for you. So why should a Yoruba man, Igbo man, or Hausa man, I'm just using that because these are the three major languages in Nigeria. Why should that person who cannot speak English, why should he feel inferior to you who speaks English? And why should he be apologetic about it? Why should he look for somebody to come and tell you that don't understand it? You should find a way to understand it. Is that not what we go through when we go to other countries? Well, even when we get scholarships to study in other countries, they will tell us that for the first 6 to 9 months, you have to study their language, pass it, before you start your study, because the language of communication will be their own dialect. It is that language of communication that is our traditional, that we use in traditional medicine. So all of those things that we threw away affected the development. I'm answering the question of why don't we have documentation?
Okay.
Because our documentation should have been in those our own languages. Because the documentation I'm talking about in China, in India, and all of it, is not in English. But now translation is being done in English. And we have, in this country, we have a institute of languages headed by a professor, with professors of about 10 different Nigerian languages. With professors of about 10 different Nigerian languages. I've written to that professor. I say, come, see, let us sit down. Let us stop all this English, whatever. And we have moved. Anyway, maybe when you ask me, I'll tell you, because at the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency, we are not looking at anybody. Language is not a barrier. We are not looking for 5 credits. You don't need to have credit. You don't need to go to any school if you are a traditional medical practitioner. You know why? Because we are not looking for your certificate. We are not looking for your education. We are looking for your skill. We are looking for that thing that you have to give to the community. And that's what WHO is doing.
All right.
Yes. And that's what we are going to do in WHO now. If you look at the things that we're doing, education, we put it there, very core. And that education is not English education. No. It's education according to the community.
Okay.
It's research led by the community. The research we are talking about now that you see in our thematic programs is research, community-led research. It's not research where after your PhD or your master's, you go to Transcorp to go and do meeting, or you go to Sheraton, or all these powerful places where one tea break is 7,000 naira. Meanwhile, the traditional medical practitioner in the village is product that is using to heal somebody. It's not up to 2,000 naira, but you are drinking tea of 7,000 naira, and you are doing policy for the person who is in the village. The person is not on that table. You are doing policy of what you don't know. That's what we are changing at NNMDA. And that's what WHO has, by divine providence, said that, look, this village man, come and help us do this thing.
All right. At this point, we'll take a short break. When we return, there'll be more on the place of traditional and integrative medicine and what this WHO appointment means to the development of traditional medicine in Nigeria. Stay with us.
Dissecting public policy issues in Nigeria for public understanding and seizing opportunities provided for the good of the people. Tuesday Live on wide range of societal issues from education, agriculture, health to economy, engineering, technology, ICT, sports, and many more. A platform for all classes of people to engage the world anywhere and everywhere, carrying everyone along on all trending issues in Nigeria and across the globe with impactful messages, information devoid of ambiguity. Tuesday Live, your platform for consistent dialogue on major issues of the week, every Tuesday at 10:30 p.m. Always incisive and educative as ever. Join us.
Why should we be in a difficult situation financially?
Once upon a time we were rich, but we're not a rich country anymore.
Disaster management is everybody's business.
In all these times, the organization turned to Nigeria.
We would as much want to harness the capacity that is within us so that we see how we can become self-reliant.
1 month ended and you said you are increasing warning strike by 2 months. I mean, you are incubating madness.
Even if these are officials of government who have been told to go and enforce the law and they have gone against the law itself, they must be held accountable.
One-on-One, Friday, 10:30 p.m. on NTA Network.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm still here with Professor Martin Emeje, who is the Director General, Chief Executive of the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency, and who has been appointed as co-chair of the WHO STAG-TM. That's the strategic group that will advise the WHO on the matter of traditional, complementary, and integrative medicine. And that's what we're talking about, the place of all that. Interesting revelations that you've made here. But again, how do you respond to the question that as you seek to improve the base of our documentation of all these medicines, that it might come with limited success because many of the practitioners would not want to let go of their secrets. That's on one hand. And you've also spoken about these knowledge across board being basically in the languages of the community. And you have a vast country with so many languages. And sometimes it's said that a meeting of the traditional medicine practitioners always ends in a stalemate because there are different applications depending on culture and traditions to those things. How do you...
And that's where the strength of traditional medicine lies.
Right. So,
you know, when you were talking about me, one of the things that you said is that he's a professor of nanomedicine.
Yes.
You see, in the 21st century, medicine is more of personalized medicine now. Even if twins come with the same disease situation, now, the way medicine is practiced now, each person will be looked at differently and may require different approaches to solving the person's problem. Personalized medicine. See, personalized medicine has its origin from traditional medicine. It took time for Western medicine to be talking about personalized medicine today. But the real personalized medicine is traditional medicine, because our traditional medical practitioners don't give one thing to everybody. They don't give one paracetamol, 2 tablets to everybody. No. When you come, They will listen to you and prepare your own recipe for you. There is no concoction in the pot that when you come, they will be fetching it for everybody. The way we fetch paracetamol for everybody. No, that's personalized medicine. If only we did our documentation, which we have, like I told you, for the first time in the history of Nigeria, we have started that documentation. NNMD started. Is this 2 years that we started the documentation? As I'm talking to you now, there is a local government in Nigeria that on the touch of a button from the office of the DG or from our library at Kofi Abayomi in Victoria Island, you can access every traditional medical practitioner that is there. You know what they do. You know the products they have. You know the services they render. And that is what we want to do for all the 774 local governments. We will start it. We will start it, even if we cannot finish it, but we will start it. And we know that if we have the support, and now the WHO is going to support us, we will finish it. We don't need more than 6 to 7 months to finish it in this country. In fact, immediately I was announced, my appointment was announced by World Health Organization, the number of traditional medical practitioners associations that have written that they wanted to come and see me. Within this period, I did not have a Christmas or New Year break because of the volume of associations that came to see me, that they have come to see me already. I'm using that to also answer the question of they don't want to. They don't want to do what? Why should they? You are walking along the road. You want to go and ask traditional medical practitioner how he is setting bone, and he should tell you. Why should they tell you? You are a pharmacist, or you are a chemist, or you are a researcher. You carry yourself, you go and meet a traditional medical practitioner who is treating his typhoid fever in the village. And you say he should tell you how he's doing it, and you want him to tell you. And when they don't tell them, they say those people, they are secretive. They don't want to tell. Why are they telling me?
So there is a matter of intellectual property
rights. Why are they telling me? They are telling me because they trust that this is a government agency responsible.
Okay.
So the people who are not getting the answers from traditional medical practitioners, those TMP people, because they don't have degree like you think they are not wise? I'm even telling them not to tell you. So are you telling people your own? Those of us who are scientists, when we do our research in the lab and we are getting good results and we want to go and file for protection, do we tell people? But you want village people to tell you their own. Okay. Are you okay?
Okay, so it means that there's intellectual property rights.
One of the things that, look, the largest traditional medicine global library was inaugurated about a week ago in India when we went for the global summit. And part of what it will be dealing with is intellectual property. It is part of the things that my group is going to come up with a strategy for member countries and for the world on how to protect the know-how, the intellectual property of traditional medicine. Because the protection regimes that we have right now is not for traditional medical practitioners. It's not. We cannot be applying, you cannot plant maize and be expecting beans. It means you are a thief. So what we have now is good for what it was designed for. Yes. What we don't have is for the things that most people use in this world, which is traditional medicine. And we are going to support, advise WHO on those options, those strategies, scientific, strategic, and choices that they need to make in order to put all of those things at the global level that we speak to country members, to cultures, to communities, so that there will be convergence of quality, of regulation, of science, and everything that will make it. See, in the next 1 to 2 years, people who have been bad-mouthing traditional medicine, especially in this part of the world, they will be running to come and be part of the traditional medicine train.
Now,
because it will be of quality,
okay.
It will be of high standard of safety and effectiveness.
That's exactly where we were going to next. I was going to say one other issue, which of course the WHO would be interested in, and which we assume that your group would be advising on, would deal with the matter of quality, regulation, and particularly dosage, which has always been the case. Most would say traditional medicines are largely
dose.
without dosage.
That they just tell you take cup and drink.
And drink.
Yes.
And you wonder how many times.
And I usually joke by asking highly educated people who say this, and I jokingly tell them but hit them seriously below the belt by telling them, when you go to sit down in the restaurant to eat food when you are hungry, what is the dose of the pounded yam that you eat? What is the dose of the soup that they put? Because some of them will finish the soup and say, more soup. What is the dose of that soup? Because what our traditional medical practitioners are doing is just using those things to take care of your ailment. That's why the strongest part of traditional medicine is preventative medicine. You know, they say prevention is better than cure. The strongest aspect of traditional medicine is prevention. Why the strongest point of allopathic medicine is curation, curative. Now, that's why we say traditional medicine is holistic, because it can effectively prevent. It can be curative and restore the balance between man and nature. That's why it's holistic. Now, take doses. We have gone beyond there is no dose. And let me start by saying this. Please, when anybody tells you that there's no dose in traditional medicine, tell the person to define for you what is dose. They will start telling you what they studied in that colonial curriculum in the school. That's what I studied. That's what I studied. Well, if you use that to define traditional medicine, you will say it does not have dose. So why am I not using, okay, let tradition, is because they don't have voice? If not, because, am I not the one you are interviewing now? It's not traditional medical practitioner. It's just that I am in that field. And so I could speak like this. And because I also know the side of Western medicine. So I always tell my colleagues, you know I know what you know, but you don't know what I know. And so that's why when I speak, I say, you will listen to me. It's by force. You will listen. Because you don't know what I'm talking about. So listen, let me teach you. Yes. If you use traditional medicine doses to define foreign dose, we will say they don't have dose also. Okay. So, and let me give you a typical practical example. When I was growing up in the village, 4:30 a.m., I will go and make fire in front of our house because my mother used to fry akara. I will go and make fire and put red oil on it. Right? And my mom, time to time, he will come and check if the oil is ready for her to start frying the akara. She never had a thermometer. He will use onion. He will cut onion and throw it into the oil. There is a particular sound that she will use, and it is that sound that she uses to bake the cake. If that sound is not there, that akara will never be as good as the akara that made from that. He did not use any instrument, thermometer. In your mind, it is primitive. But let me tell you, it takes higher cognitive intelligence to do that than to use instruments. You need to be highly intelligent to be able to do that. That's why our people that did not go to school to get degree, they are highly intelligent. But we are here in town thinking that they are not intelligent. We are calling them illiterates. I have used that to give you an example of what they do when they make the medicines. When they make the medicine, there is particular volume. Because when they don't just cut leaves. When they cut leaves, they will count the number of leaves. 4 leaves from this, 2 leaves from this, the size of bag, they'll cut it, then they'll put it together. Then the time, the duration of boiling it, the volume of fluid, of water that they'll use to boil it, they know all of those things without having measuring cylinder, without having weighing balances. They do all of those things with accuracy. They do it. When there was no clock, how were our people knowing time? Is it not by the sun, the movement of the sun and the shadow it is creating on the ground? The time we have now, is it better than the time of that? Is that not what they use to do all of these discoveries today? So it is wrong to just use a blanket comment that there is no dose. Everything in traditional medicine have the dose. You are the one that does not understand that dose. And for you to understand that dose, you need to go to school of traditional medicine. Because if I did not go to universities to study pharmacy, I wouldn't know pharmacy now. People are not going to study traditional medicine. They are saying it's not good, it's not like this, it's not like that. But you did not go to study it. Those of us who have gone to study, we know exactly what this thing is. But because we are proud, you see, because like I told Mark, and that's what we are doing at the Nigerian Natural Medicine Development Agency. Our lecturers are not PhD and professors. No. Bone setting. Nigeria has the best bone setting technology in the world. No matter how your leg or your hand scatter, in Nigeria, our bone setters, they will fix it. And you go and start playing ball again instead of amputation. Now, which professor are you? Which professor of orthopedics are you? Which professor of pharmacy, of medicine, of anything are you that you can fix that thing? You cannot fix it. So the truth is that who should actually be the lecturer in the class? Is it you with your textbook PhD and professor, or the person who has the practical knowledge of setting bone? Who should be the lecturer? And that's why at our agency we are getting those people that have those skills to be the lecturers in teaching the future, the next generation of bone setters, of traditional birth attendants, of those skills that are available in our communities that we must necessarily develop. Because if we don't develop, we are just killing ourselves. You see, because if we don't do it, the people in the village, they are using it. They are using it. And let me tell you, some very big, mighty people are sneaking to the villages to go and use those things. And I know some of them. Just that I'm on national television, if not, I can call. They know me, that I know them. And I always tell them, you are being unfair to this area because you are using this thing, you are occupying powerful position, instead of you to speak out so that we can develop this thing. You are not. Let me tell you, some of our people even enter aeroplane to go to China and India to use these things. Yes.
All right. Now,
yes.
Subjecting the traditional medicines to scientific rigor.
Yes.
And of course, that would involve opening up, carrying out some empirical, experiments and along those lines.
Yes.
Documentation as well.
Yes.
But there is a feeling, and most people call this a conspiracy theory, that the West, if the West cottons onto the fact that these are likely to succeed, then the process of approval, of granting patents may take long or may not even come to fruition because this would now provide an alternative source. For instance, they say the big pharmacies will not let this fly because they need to push their synthetic drugs and all that. How does this group intend to tackle that and advise the WHO and maintain a relative level ground for all these aspects of medicine?
Okay. Right. First of all, let me say this. Traditional medicine and Western medicine, and when I say Western medicine, I mean allopathic medicine, foreign medicine, anyone that is not for the purpose of this discussion, foreign ones. Now, we are not competing. There's no competition at all. The problem is that adherents of Western medicine don't want us to breathe. And they must allow us. It's by fire, by force. We will breathe. Now, see, the group, my group, within 24 hours of inauguration, we already laid out our 2025, 2026, 2027 work plan. So we know what we are going to do already. 2, I'm a pharmacist. If you use marking scheme or curriculum of medicine, those who become doctors, and I'm using pharmacy and medicine because they are very related. If you use it for me, I'll fail. If you use that of pharmacy for medical doctors, it will fail. You are not what you are not. So let nobody come and tell us that the scientific protocols for Western medicine is what you will use to judge traditional medicine. Okay. That is where we are getting it wrong.
So you need to establish its own
and
peculiar protocols.
we are doing it. And we are doing it. And we are doing it. Anywhere your own protocol can do anything, beautiful, we will absorb it. Where your protocol is deficient, we will give you the protocol that is used for traditional medicine. Because you are not the reference standard for traditional medicine. No, you cannot be. Because you are not the same. You cannot use medicine as reference for pharmacy. You cannot use pharmacy as reference standard for nursing. You cannot use nursing as reference standard for law. No. So, there are very explicit, clearly understood as it is today on SOPs, standards, protocols, norms for Western medicine. One of our job in this group is to advise, is to support the World Health Organization in setting norms and standards for traditional medicine. Yes. So we will do it, and we are going to do it. And let me tell you, by the time we finish, the world will see that even the norms and the standards for traditional medicine might be stricter and more stringent than that of Western medicine.
All right.
Because people think that traditional medicine, they don't want to have standard. That's why we are talking like this. Who says that we don't want to? We want to have stricter standard. Are we not the one that they are carrying our product everywhere on Facebook, on Twitter, everywhere? So everybody is advertising that they can treat staphylococcus when they don't know what is staphylococcus. Is it not? Are we not the ones suffering that the e-commerce problem of traditional medicine now? So we want to deal with that, and we are going to deal with it effectively. Like I said, documentation. Because some of these things that I'm telling you, I'm also telling you because I'm a Nigerian and I'm heading an agency in Nigeria. Otherwise, some countries have passed this level.
Okay.
Some countries have already passed this level that I was appointed by the World Health Organization, right? That's why I told you it's huge.
Okay. So as we prepare to wind out, I'm taking it from that point. With your appointment by the WHO,
yes,
and with what you would contribute, your group would contribute towards the establishment of protocols and standards for traditional, complementary, and integrative medicine. What do you see about the future of those in Nigeria? How will that impact the system in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. You see, I think, Nigeria, the whole world said Nigeria is a religious country.
Right.
Let nobody use it against us. Nobody should be apologetic about being religious. Nobody in Nigeria should be apologetic about being religious. And people should stop saying that we are religious, but we are not good. You are not the one to define whether we are good or not. When we go to the other world, we will know whether you are good or not good. You can't stay here and say who is good or who is not good. I'm saying this because when I got this appointment about 2 years ago, because I am a living person in this area. Because I'm a living person in this area. And then in study, the things that I started with, and we start the breakthroughs that we, for the first time in Nigeria, started having in our agency are the things that WHO is focusing right now.
Okay.
That, I told you about documentation,
Right. Okay.
which is key, which is foundational, which is fundamental, right? Now, Nigeria, when I became DG, and associations, and I will not call them because they have met me. We had a meeting yesterday, and they have all come together now. They were having so many factions, and some people in government, some civil servants, were putting petrol in that factionalization, right? But these people, I called them. I told them I'm not going to work with any association. I'm only going to work with people that are interested in development of traditional medicine.
So these are some of the benefits. Well, I wish...
and so Nigeria, in terms of traditional medicine beneficiation, development, and we are going to, you will see we are jump-starting, and we are going to be there in a little while. After all, for the first time, a black man is appointed as chair of this group. He's a Nigerian. So who says that our traditional medicine is still something to be joked with in this country?
We'd like to thank you very much for coming on this program.
Thank you very much.
One parting shot on a lighter note. Yes. We've discussed all about traditional medicine, but we didn't talk about the chanting of any incantations.
Yes, it's also part of traditional medicine. It's part of natural medicine. It's because there's no time. If not, we would have gone into it. People go to mosque, people go to church. They don't know that God. They have never seen that God before. And they are talking to that God, and he's answering them. And their disease is going away. And they are not questioning it. Those who are questioning traditional medicine, why are they not questioning church and mosque? This is natural medicine.
Okay.
These are things we are dealing with, and we know the reasons why they work.
Thank you so very much, Prof. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
We wish you well in your assignment.
Thank you.
And we'll ask you to come again sometime and talk about it.
Anytime. Thank you. Thank you very much.
And that's our program today. We thank you for watching. Next week, we'll be back with One-on-One. I am Cyril Stober. Bye for now.